Welcome back to my channel Automation Hub Sathak, and in today's video we learn about how to handle dropdown. And this is not an example of bootstrap dropdown for which I'll make a separate video. This is purely for simple dropdown. So let's begin. I'm gonna tell you this in an incognito mode for using Facebook. So just open Facebook. Okay, you click on create new account, and here you will see there is a date of birth section which has this day, and this will be month, and this will be year. So how will you handle this when you are creating an account? Let's say for example you are automating Facebook and you want to create a user account. So how do you do this? So simple, just on this date of birth date section, just right click, inspect element. You will see in the DOM it belongs to a class known as select. Okay, sorry, it belongs to a tag, HTML tag, which is select, and it has an ID as an attribute, and it does have a class, but seems like there are three different values of this class. So anyways, we have ID, so not to worry. And then if you expand this select HTML tag, you will see a lot of options, a lot of values. For, of course, in a month there could be maximum 31 days. So those are the values which are embedded in here. So we'll use this select class and we'll automate uh, how to handle drop downs in Selenium, which belongs basically to select class. The bootstrap drop down is a different concept. I'll tell you that later, but this one is a very simple concept. We'll just go ahead directly and we'll start coding. I've created a package drop downs. I'm going to directly jump into making a class, and I'll write a drop down for Facebook. Okay, you may choose to not open in an incognito mode, but anyways, because all our Facebook credentials are anyways stored and we have cookies, so I just open it in a incognito mode, but we'll do it in a normal mode. Okay, nothing to worry. So here we have WebDriver manager dot Chrome driver dot dot setup driver equals to new Chrome driver. So we have facebook.com. Okay, we'll maximize this. Okay, so what I forgot to show you was we'll have to click on, sorry, we have to click on this particular create new account button first. So this has to be the first line of action, or else you can jump into that URL directly. But since we are here, oh, something is wrong. Once again. Okay, so right click has been disabled, so you will have to inspect from here. So it has a button which has a very complicated class. So how do you get this? Okay, you have this thing here, you have this ID, so you have this div tag, you have an ID, you can directly traverse to this particular button here. So we'll create the XPath div at the rate ID equal to this. So we are here, we'll just have to move to this particular location. So only this much is to traverse, and we can directly use preceding, and I'll just give a, and I'll give 1. So probably this should work fine for the time being, this XPath. So let's jump into driver dot find element by dot XPath and dot click. It should be working. Well, let's move now. So once this thing is done, you'll come here, you'll click it over here, and then you'll have to come here. So now we know that once we do the inspection of this particular date, we have a select tag and we have an attribute ID, and we have an option to choose from. So let's go ahead and code this. So how do you automate a drop down which has a select class? So first and foremost step is you have to create the object of the select class. So you can just write select select equal to new select. Again, even then, you know what is happening? Even though I imported this, it is still showing in error over here. So once you mouse over a error, you will see that it shows add argument to match select. So technically you have to pass the web element part of it. Okay, so here you have to write this. You have to write the highlight of this particular location of this particular drop down. Okay, this select tag, this particular elements tag you have to write. So you'll write here driver dot find element. I'll directly have I have id by dot id. So I have the id which is day here. I'll copy it and I'll put it here, and that's it. Now the selection has come over here. Now this is step one. Okay, so I'll write the steps here. Step one, create the object of select class and add the web element argument in the object. Okay, so you have to do this. Now the second step is, once this is done, there are three different methods wherein you can highlight this. You can do by, once you use this reference which you have created and dot, you will see select by, there are three, do not use this deselect. Okay, so there are three ways to, you can choose select by index. This is one way to choose. You can also choose select dot, okay, this is select by, I'm sorry. Okay, you can also choose select dot select by value. Okay, this will be an integer value and this is a string. Okay, and then you can also choose this one, select by visible text. So how do you make sure what is index, what is value? If you see, index is actually an integer and value is a string, and visible text is whatever it shows, which is mostly a string. So how do you select, how do you decide out of these three methods which one I should use? Simple, it has a value option here, right? So let's say for example your date of birth, date is 10th, so you want to choose 10, so the value is 10 for date 10th. The value is also, see, day 1 value 0, day 0 value 0, day is just value 0, day 1 value 1. Let's say you are born on 10th of a certain month, so the value is 10. So if you want, you can give the string value here as 10, as simple as that. But if you want to have the indexing part of it, then you can go ahead and give indexing as 11 or something like that. So technically speaking, what happens is, let's say for example, this is a very simple drop down for date, which will have either 28 days or 29 days for a leap year for the month of Feb, or it will be 30 or 31 depending upon that. But let's say for example you are doing a drop down which has countries or cities or something like that, and let's say for example a new country is made or a new state is made, and then these indexing and these values will definitely create a lot of mockery. Maybe the code will fail at certain point of time, maybe something has changed. So what happens is, let's say for example you're in the selection of states, you have chosen Andaman and Nicobar, for example, and then all of a sudden a new state in India has come up, and you have given the indexing as 11 of that, or the value of something integer or something like that. But then because of the new state, the indexing position has shifted either +1 or -1 for what your original state was. So it is gonna create a little complication. But what will not change is this select by visible text. This thing will not change, because even if you choose, let's say Uttar Pradesh, then Uttar Pradesh remains the same. Okay, so it might come from indexing 9th to 12th position or whatever, but that complete word of the text will remain the same. So it is much advisable to use this. Okay, select by visible text. So if I right click, inspect, so select by visible text will give me, let's say I want to use 10, so I'll just go ahead and write 10. As simple as that. Now what next? So you want to do this. So now for what is next for this September, for this month? So let's highlight this. This also has an ID month, and it also has these options and values. So what should I do it here? So if I write here select dot, it will create a confusion. Why? Because that web element has a different HTML tag. So how do you manage this thing? There is one more way. You can make the select class as a global value. You've made it, well and good. You don't need this thing here. Works fine. Now you can make here select equals to new, so many people will try this way. So this is month, right? This thing is also working fine. So now what are you going to do? Select dot select by visible text. Let's say you're born in the month of, let's say, September. So 20, so I'll right click, inspect. So September is SCP. If you write SCPT, it will not work. We'll have to go via the book. Okay, and then let's go for this year. Inspect. So this has an ID year, and let's say 1990. So we'll just go on and write 1990, and the value is, ID value is year. So we'll just write select. I'll just copy this, and instead of month, I'll write here, and simple as that. I'll copy and I'll just write here 1990. So our output should be, this should be our output, 10 sep 1990. This should be the output when we execute this code. So let's go ahead and execute this code. So the browser is opening. It has opened Facebook. Does it click on create new account or not? Oh yes, it did. And now let's see whether it goes on and select 10th September 1990 or not. Okay, it is saying unable to locate element. Okay, it was a little fast, so let's go ahead and give an implicit wait. If not, we'll see. So I'm just gonna give 10 time unit dot seconds. Now let's run this. Okay, because it is clicking on the create new account button, it is directing to that page, but somehow it is not getting us those dates. So let's wait for some time. If it fails again, okay, no, it's working. So there was that timeout issue, but see, our output is what we were supposed to receive, 10 September 1990. So now what are we going to do? I'm going to close this browser. I'm going to close this browser also. What I'm going to do, I will just change certain things here. Let's say your date of birth is 11th and let's say November, and let's say 1984. I'm going to save this and I'm going to run this. So in the output we should receive 11th November 1984. See, 11th November 1984. So code works fine. This is how you need to use select class to automate simple drop downs which has select class. So whenever you encounter a certain drop down, you have to use this. This is the way you do it. Make it this as a global variable, and then you can use the reference. And the only tasking thing is that if there are multiple drop downs, you will have to create the object of each of the multiple drop downs. So that's the only thing. But yes, do not use, there are in interviews they'll ask you what are the three different methods when you using select class to you know highlight drop down. You will say select by visible text, select by index, and select by value. But select by index and select by value are not recommended because they are risky to be used. They will work as fine as this one, but there is no hard and fast rule that certain things will not change. But yeah, this select by visible text is more concrete in nature, and this will give you a better output. So I'm going to remove this line and I'm going to save this. So that's it for today. I hope you liked the session, and please do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and thanks for supporting me. The Hindi video will come up very soon. Thank you so much. Sathak here, signing off.